All right, go right ahead.
Okay, the Port Aransas City Council will reconvene into open session. Regarding the items which were discussed during closed executive session, there is no action other than the statement I'd like to make in regards to the accusations that were said about Chief Stokes in his department. This council has reviewed this case and the information, and although we are extremely saddened by the tragedy that is around the circumstances of Mr. Bailey's death, I can speak unequivocally that we believe in Chief Stokes and we believe in his department and how they've handled this matter. And in no way I want anyone in this community to feel differently about the job that they've done. We are 100% in support of them. We can speak on their behalf. But the statement is that we think they've done the right thing. We are saddened by the circumstances, but in no way feel that any wrongdoing on the chief or his department has been done. I agree with Mayor Moore.
I agree with them. I'm glad we were able to talk about it, support the chief. There's Mayor Moore as well. 100% agree. Support chief. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Right, we're gonna move on. Thank you, Mike. All right, we're gonna start with items for considerations. Item A, discuss and take action in appointing board member to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And it looks like,
Amy, you want to
yeah,
give us a skinny?
I think there was one applicant.
Yeah.
I suggest you appoint them.
one opening for the alternate position of Michelle Garrett. That would be.
She also. The participant board, I believe he was on board, so I'm in something. I would proceed, and I'm grateful to have her.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve Michelle Garrett for the alternate on the Parks and Recreation Advisory.
All right. Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers. Councilmember Krueger.
Yes.
Councilmember Owens. Councilmember Schmides. Mayor Pro Tem Crawford. Mayor Moore. Motion carried.
Just take action on board members, of the Planning and Zoning Commission. So there are four members seeking reappointment. Brenda Owens, place 2, Felicia Foster, place 4, Mike Dayon, place 5, and Derek Kipke, place 6. And according to our information, all 4 have wished and reapplied, and there are no other applicants. So can I entertain a motion?
I make a motion to approve the P and Z board with existing members reapplying. Brenda Owens, Felicia Foster, Michael Dam, and Garrett Kipke. I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, Brand, please call the roll.
Councilmember Schmides.
Yes.
Councilmember Owens. Councilmember Krueger. Councilmember Chambers. Councilmember Christensen. Mayor Pro Tem Crawford. Mayor Moore. Motion carried.
Discuss and take action on appointing board members to the. Come on up again.
Take them both.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve Michelle Lorette and Michelle Garrett for places 2 and 3 on the Recreational Development Corporation Board. I'll second.
all right. Brand, please call the roll.
Councilmember Owens. Councilmember Schmides. Councilmember Krueger. Councilmember Chambers, Councilmember Christensen, Mayor Pro Tem Crawford, Mayor Moore. Motion carried.
HDR related to the emergency repair of the bulkhead road patch. Then term condition fee responsible to serve the owner and engineer and authorized and city manager sign said agreement.
Hey, Council, Mayor Moore, thank you for having us. The breach in the post metro bulkhead, something keeps me up at night. Been out there several times. And the mayor.
I did, I did a street.
People design, bid, and construction. The first phase will be an emergency repair. And your intent is to put metal sheets in front of the bulkhead, backfill to try to save the existing infrastructure and get that permitted. While we're doing that, we're going to simultaneously do a site investigation, topographic survey, bathymetric survey, and condition assessment. We're going to use that to design a scour protection and whatever additional tieback systems that we need to make that a permanent structure so that we have a full all-in-one solution. That's our game plan. So we've got a condition assessment, 2 full-blown construction packages, and we're going to tackle it as quickly as we can. So the format here is designed to implement something as rapidly as we can to save the rest of the district.
So this resolution is just for the emergency repair.
It's the all-in. It's not the repair. This is.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, it's,
item D.
yeah, it's three components, and I think. Round off.
Right.
The design the emergency repair, but then perform the on-site study with the bathymetry study. And then come back and do any scour prevention design also as the third component.
Okay, so I just want to be clear because the resolution just indicates that your engineering services are strictly for the emergency repair, not as indicated what you just said, which is what we need.
No, it's full.
My biggest concern is that we're going to wait 9 months for you to design an emergency repair because that was kind of the way I read it. And that's going to be unacceptable because the whole damn bulkhead will be gone by then.
Yeah, this is related to the emergency repair, so the other components are related.
We need to get high behind and figure out a plan quick.
Yeah.
We need to fix the problem so that it stops eroding and then work on a real permanent long-term solution. I understand what the problem is, and that's really needs to be what's discussed, but in the meantime, we got to fix it.
Yes, ma'am, and so we've already talked before about this. Fair amount of data collection on my own, bringing everything together. So we've got geotech data, which is a huge savings to the city. Hopefully, we don't have to do any more geotechnical analysis. We got geotech data from the channel deepening project. Sorry, I'm kind of. Our plan is to get an emergency permit, and it's the least path of resistance to the permit. It's actually a pretty reasonable cost. We've already reached out before to start that. We're gonna come up with a conservative design and implement these metal sheets and scour protection, and hopefully have that done within the next 4 to 6 weeks.
And that sign in there. Service sign said such that. It's part of permanent.
So we're not waiting on another 1.5 permitting.
100% will be gone. And we're from the first little hole I found to a football field in weeks.
Yes, ma'am. So the intent there, and we've already talked before, so we have a path to get sheets out there and stop what we need and protect the rest of the road. We can't do the scour protection until we get the surveys done. The surveys take months and we've got to put it all together, analyze it. But the bleeding will be stopped. And we'll backfill. So we're gonna backfill and put sheets on front of it. And our proposal includes that piece and the long-term solution where we get all the data, we do the scour protection, and then we tie it back if we have to, and we do whatever else we need to do to give you a long-term solution, not just a piecemeal solution.
We're not throwing bad money in.
That's correct.
You're right, because we threw 250,000 at this
I know.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was the quickie.
Yeah.
And it didn't get us anywhere. Bought us 2 years. It wasn't worth the money. We should have gone this route, but we didn't. Hindsight's 2020, but this is a much more scientific engineered response than just go dump a bunch of rock in front of the bulkhead.
Sure.
Is there any overlap with this and on
The big Kepler project,
with DCCN and Urban probably eight it's a read or something? Bulkhead.
are you talking about the rock, the Kepler project, which was DCCM's that they're putting the rock in front of the bulkhead?
Not sure, this is. It's going up. It's just previous. I think it was like a.
No, that was longer, that was a lot longer ago. That was when, giving DCCM the Kepler contract. It was last September. Yes.
And those two have to work together somehow
Yeah,
because
they
that's
have-
part of the long-term solution. We have funds.
Right now, so yes, DCCM still has that Kepler design. It did go to the general land office. They had some heartburn with their concept, and so it's in flux right now on where that design is.
This is in addition to.
Correct, yes. Because that, whatever that ends up being, rock, mattress, whatever, that could be 2 years out, 3 years out. I mean, you get your design, then they would go to permit, and then you're looking at 18 months for permit, so it's a ways out before they actually get something in the water. I'll be consulting by then.
We do need to work together.
Yes.
It's the same problem. Okay. I think that was just.
The capital project comes right past this project and it puts more whatever in the water, but it's not a, at that point, I mean, it's not a duplication. I mean, it might come up to their work and stop and then continue on the other side.
Suspect that. Should. Or in our opinion. That'll be the way end of these hotspots that fit. That's a more conservative side. It's more expensive than all. Economic for the entire. Length of thing. Okay, but it's a good design. It'll be a good design for this hotspot area.
A little jetty.
And the hotspots have not, the one good part is the hotspots have not moved. So when we did the hotspot survey about 2 years ago, they're still there.
Same spot.
And the one worst hotspot is this spot
Yeah.
that just totally failed. So it is the worst of the hotspots, and I'm glad it's not a new hotspot because that would lead me to believe that the whole 4,800 feet is in jeopardy. So that's the one.
Will be there for pretty hard.
Okay,
What goes in 2 years.
sure. I mean. Could be.
This section. What before, what was the, what protecting?
Dirt, just the seabed. Yeah, so you had an 18-foot panel that was installed in 2003 or 4. Yeah, 14-foot panel, concrete panel. 5 feet of that is out of water, so that leaves 9 feet was below the sea, or no, it was even less. So a 14-foot panel is 4 feet out of the water. It was like 4 feet depth, so that's 8. So you had about 7 feet buried. 7 feet.
That's correct. It's,
Yeah.
it's,
It was sand until we dumped some rock in it about 1.5 years ago. When the hot spots hit, we dumped some rock in front of the hot spots. When I probed it about the hole hit, I didn't feel any rock, 0 rocks. And the hole was 15 feet deep. in front of the. So imagine a 14-foot panel that's only 7 to 9 feet in the water. The hole was 15. So there was nothing, no seabed pushing up, holding that panel from blowing out.
The drawdown sucked the toe out. And then once you get a small amount starting to push through there and all the other samples rush out, it unraveled.
So the panels have a tieback, right? It's a big heavy plastic cable with plastic on it. But the tieback is up at the top of the panel and it goes back down about 15 feet to like a 3x3 block of concrete. But that's to hold the top from tipping out, right? But so the bottom relies on the seabed floor pushing up against it. So once the seabed floor was gone, all it did was just code out.
Yeah, and I've got years of
Yeah.
video out there and.
And yesterday, that cable laying boat went out. It surged so much water up through the hole, it flooded almost the whole part.
Yeah.
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 It was. And that wasn't from overtopping, it was all coming up out of the hole.
Yeah.
That's
Because it's, yeah.
That's what's eating it right now.
Yeah.
Surge and it's blown those barriers here in the next several times. Yeah, it's concerning. I was.
Yeah.
I don't want to get. fixed.
Okay, fast. Yeah.
Yes.
It's already started.
We've already got a team in place to hit the ground running. David Royals is actually the Port Aransas local. That'll be the task or engineer of record and task lead for the design.
Okay.
And we are working with the port on some help. We don't know what form that's gonna come in, but. We do have their attention and we've had several talks with Ken Britton. See how he can possibly give us some help one way or the other.
So there's 295 figures, so it's engineering, design, permitting, bid assistance, and construction administration. And also it is also handling the phase 1 emergency repair.
Yeah, and there's two full-blown design packages in here that include design, bid, and construction for both construction projects. And that's.
But it's not the repair, that's gotta come, so these guys will go do this design. Then they have to get it out, emergency bid it out, and then that will come back to you guys for the construction.
We'll get.
Yes.
They'll be back at us for that repair.
Correct.
There'll be the two contractors bidding out. The bids will have a construction cost and so.
So Anthony, we'll see the emergency repair first.
That's correct.
It by itself as a bid that'll come out or in. And then we'll do the scour.
Yeah, that's great. We'll do. The long metal sheets that are. Oh. And we'll stop the bleeding, we'll check. We'll do our bathymetric survey, topographic survey at the same time that we're doing that emergency repair. We'll start designing, we have to have that data to design our scour protection. We need the velocities, we need all of that data to figure out exactly what. So while they're installing that first piece, we'll be designing the second piece and getting ready for that second construction, which is the scour protection. That could be the only thing out there, but if more damage happens, if the analysis requires tieback systems, all that has to be designed and engineered and sent.
Yeah, it's a good
Which
question.
a mental specialist. We have 1.2 million in there right now.
Okay, any other questions? We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution approving the professional services agreement with HDR Engineering for engineering services for emergency bulkhead repairs in Charlie.
All right, any further discussion? Right, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen, Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger, Councilmember Owens, Councilmember Schmidt, Mayor Pro Tem Crawford, Mayor Moore. Motion carried.
Okay. Item E, resolution increasing annual fee parking permit from $12 to $20 provides for effective date and providing related.
About this in the last, now at this time, this is about a football step to make it happen. So this. You guys discuss. David. This just makes it official that you guys do that and better. Generally stuff.
And we need to get it going, because we have a little boots around.
Yeah, they've been working with me, they've got some preliminary stuff, both us and Corbin, so the ball is already rolling, this is just the official. Take up the ball.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve agenda item 5E, adopting the resolution approving her local agreement and letting operate procedure for the parking permit program. Including increased standard for site permit fees as well as $1. 2027 permit use of the requiring approval of the.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran?
Councilmember Schmidt,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens, Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers, Councilmember Christensen, Mayor Pro Tem Crawford, Mayor Moore. Motion carried.
Like action provide for effective date, provide for act.
Prior to 2023, it was really easy to increase that fee. Now they require an entire beach user access plan. Be submitted, I'm sorry, a beach user fee plan to be submitted, so. That is the plan that you see included in there, that's gonna be our official. Plan, what we're asking for, because this is what officially goes to them, they might have small revisions, nothing substantive, but. We are also asking that you guys allow us to kind of make those revisions. Obviously, that's something maybe will come back to you. I don't suspect that it will be. We got very positive feedback from them on our initial submission of this, so I don't see any.
Okay, anybody has any questions? Should we have a motion? I'll make a motion to approve the resolution approving the city of Port Aransas fee plan 2026, authorizing submission of the plan to the GLO. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran?
Councilmember Owens, Councilmember Schmidt, Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger, Councilmember Christensen, Mayor Pro Tem Crawford, Mayor Moore. Motion carried.
8C-5 of the Port Aransas Coastal Management Plan, providing for an effective date and providing for related.
Feels very repetitive, and I apologize for that. It's necessary, so this is officially changing our coastal management plan. Thankfully, the fee amount is not an ordinance. We have to do it by an ordinance. This approval of the amendment to our coastal management plan is the only action we take. That this officially changes that wording.
Pretty straightforward, all right. Pretty straightforward.
You just witnessed a lot of my life. It's easy to.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution amending section 8-C-5C of the Port Aransas Coastal Management Plan. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen, Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger, Councilmember Owens, Councilmember Schmidt, Mayor Pro Tem Crawford, Mayor Moore. Motion carried.
H. One more. Yeah. Presentation, general discussion and possible action. For fiscal year 2026-2027 budget.
Yes, one budget. Halloween. Put your outside. We don't want to. Approach it if you want to go through the fun, you just want to go through the letter.
I think you can talk about going through the letter. You maybe have to read the word, but I think it's a good way to get. Just read,
Right.
or just say the highlights, to highlight.
Yeah, I highlight, and that's what I tried to do in the letter is, talk about the highlights. So our, top first was about the taxes. I gave you two handouts at your spot. This budget is built with the no new revenue rate, which is not a tax increase of the years, which is not a tax increase. Although the rate is raising. The no new revenue rate is 21.210154. Currently, our tax rate is 20.1612. So it's an increase to the rate of 0.008. So not even a penny. If you went to the voter approval rate, it would be, you would have to advertise a tax increase. And the rate would be 0.222577. Of course, you can go anywhere in between the two, you know, but you go one, whatever 6 digits is, how many of a percent that is. If you go up 0.000001 above your no new revenue rate, you have to advertise a tax increase. So if you went all the way to the voter approval rate, it would give you 664,000, basically 665,000 more in your budget. 664,954 to be exact. The other graph just shows you the percent, the breakdown of where a Puerto Rican taxpayer, where their tax dollars go. Your city bill is only 15.43% of your total bill. And that is with our no new revenue rate. These other rates are everybody's tax rates from this past year. I know they will change some, but we don't have all that information yet. So that's something to keep in mind. If there's something that you would like to do that's not in the budget, you can add more revenue by going up on the tax rate.
Or trading dollars.
For trading dollars, but cutting things out of the budget, trading dollars. So in the general fund, we have quite a few projects. We're finishing up, of course, the fire and EMS station. The public safety building is being finished. It's basically finished. Public works is being finished. But we are not using general fund dollars for the public works building. So that FEMA dollars can be issued. We have the new animal shelter. We have, I think, 1.2 million for the animal shelter. We're hoping to bid that in February. So we don't want all the funds for all of the construction in this year's budget. It'll take into 27-28 budget also
We finish it off.
to finish it off.
Yes.
So we just carried it forward again. The Cirque Rescue building has already begun construction. It's being paid for out of the beach fund, also not out of general fund. And it came in at 3.3 million. And ground is already broken, so we're finishing out that bill. The state of the new revenue rate is 21 cents. We've added quite a few positions, 2 additional dispatchers, those are $80,000 a piece. Another city custodian, that's 61,000,
And that is paid for across several of the funds, not just. An administrative assistant for EMS. And right now that's budgeted for the whole year. Since they won't be in their building in October, we could delay hiring that and drop that budget down. It's the same price, 61,000. An additional equipment operator for streets, that's right around 66,000. 2 groundskeepers, one is in the general fund budget, one is in the RDC budget. Those are 60,000 apiece. An additional IT position, it's about 73,000. And in the beach fund, we have an assistant surf rescue manager. That would bring our full-time year-round staff to 6. Right now we have 5. 1 surf rescue manager and 4 head guards. This would give us a manager, an assistant, and 4 head guards. An assistant parks and rec director, we pitched that to start in January. Before the rec center opens. Front desk clerks for the rec center, 3 of them full-time, and then there'll be their part-time budget also increased. All 3 of these last positions are in the RDC. And child watch coordinator for the recs. Who will have other duties, I'm sure, besides just the child watch coordinator, but. That's
So all come out of RDC, not general fund dollars.
correct. All of those are RDC. The surf rescue is out of beach. And one of the groundskeepers is also out of working. The rest of those are general fund, the exception of the custodian, they're kind of paid for out of general fund, harbor. We have a split between different areas. There is a 3% pay adjustment for our pay scale if people have not maxed out of their respective pay grade. We're on what you call step and grade plan. So at a pay grade, it has 10 steps that are 3% apart. So longer they've been here, they get more, but they will max out at 10. So if they want to receive more pay after that, they either need to go for a different job with more duties and more demands. There's 3 employees not on the pay scale, not including the city manager, and those are also in with a 3% increase. City Hall and Civic Center expansion is also in here to complete. Getting pretty close. Definitely with the Civic Center side. So this budget is leaping into reserves at about 4 million. And it's only going to leave an estimated of about 5.8 million, which is not our 6-month reserve.
Last year we were just.
Last year we were fine.
But just a little bit.
We didn't have been on budgeted items that we really kept that in the balance, right? The fund balance. I mean, like,
We can print everything, but we did this building and the CDL that we had, which was 4.3 million, we transferred that over to pay for the public safety. And that was out of the hit. And you have a lot of infrastructure that we've been building, we're finishing. Your things should be in good shape, new. If the storm hit again, ever, you know, we should fare pretty well. Because all these buildings that we built now are higher, sturdier, up to new codes that they were not built to originally. And we're getting ready to go for bonds for the venue tax project. I've already spoken with Mark McCliney about this, and you know, we're gonna have a rating call. And they're not gonna insure those bonds because they're hotel tax. We knew that already because they weren't, you know, they weren't gonna happen. We're not gonna get as good a rate on those as you would for the general fund bonds, but he said, we'll still, you know, with all the infrastructure we've done, we're gonna be starting building it back up starting next year. Which will be my last budget. Okay. That's my plan. So that's where your general fund is. It's sitting at 3.7 months, 3.8 months. If you went to the voter approval rate, you'd be at about 4.3. Unless you cut things out. I went over all the positions that are added. The ambulance should be here soon. It has been approved, so that is back in there. We have some equipment, some techniques that are needed. That's kind of the highlights of the general fund. I'm gonna have questions about it. Nature Preserve is your next fund that, you've got your debt service fund, your sport technology fund. Those are, exactly what they say, they're not real big, they pay for our security needs in the sports and for techniques, it doesn't cover everything, some of those you still had to be paid for out of the general fund, but you collect a portion of, on each ticket that goes into that fund. The Nature Preserve Fund doesn't have any way to raise funds except through grants, so its operations are supplemented through Hotel Motel Special. You take the Hotel Motel Special for what's needed to keep that fund just to the zero balance. It has in it several grants. Most are already underway. The 33 acre boating access grant is under design. The Texas Parks and Wildlife, the Kefra Lost Grant, Lost Land grant is under this, and the Kefra Bulkhead is also under this. And the Restore grant for the trails is almost done. We've done most of that, but we've got some signage and I think it's always a lot. Hotel Motel has been growing really well this year. Anxious to see around the 20th what our revenues are looking like for the month of July stays, because July it was really good. So there is an increase in our estimates on the tax. It says 5.7 million, but that includes the venue tax. We just take all the money into this fund and then we transfer it to the Hotel Special, the venue tax, facility fund, and give chamber their 3.25%. This still has 3.25% in there for chamber. So their increase estimated next month here would be 966,000. We only pay them on actual, so if we don't collect this much, they don't get paid. We don't automatically just divide that by 12 and pay them. We pay them on actual collections. Hotel Motel Special has a lot of activity going on in it. I already stated it transfers money to the Nature Preserve for its operations. It also transfers back to the it has in their rec center transferred to finish construction for the rec center. If you remember last year when we did the budget, we were splitting that over 2 years to transfer over to help complete the construction of the rec center. It also has transferred to the facility fund to help finish off the civic center and Nature Preserve operations. Then it has in there on page 66 is where you see the Charlie's Pasture blowout. Right now we have 1.2. Well, we won't know what that cost is till we get into that, and we're probably going to have to come in budgeting the next September meetings for costs that we might have prior to September 30th. We have 80,000 in there also because the Roberts Point blowout, the sidewalk has not been repaired there yet. So we have funds in there for that. The Mariner statue and 150,000 for McDonald Ball Field parking. And an insurance sign we've been hearing for the stuff with the sign. And the wayfinding project that kind of got changed. That's what we have in Hotel Motel Special. When we issue the bond, I have a transfer coming back into the Hotel Motel Special for the funds that we drove down to add on this building, the remodeling, and the community center also. So it's getting Any questions in until my special?
So many of these things that, I know you pushed them in your budgeting now, so that means, like, if the Mariner statute's ready, I mean, we can spend that money now because it's in the budget now, right? I know you're pushing the whole 80,000 to October, but if it became available to, and I'm not suggesting it probably would be, but, or the mall,
Right,
on the
because-
ballpark, or any of these things that get done before October 1st, it just comes out. Right.
And items have to be, if you order something, it has to be here by the 30th.
So that's why most of these things.
That's why most of these things are getting carried. The facility fund has completion of the construction of this building. And then some A&E that will need to be finished, and then we've got in there to refurbish the parking and the sidewalks, about 100,000. Here, then we've got some, furniture, fixture needs, we put 85,000 in for, we need a bunch of chairs, we need some more tables. Dance floor that we were talking about purchasing, and then the parking lot to rent. The venue tax fund is the 2% tax that we're getting now. And estimated to bring in about 3.6 million in tax. 46 million is what I believe the bonds discussion for the bond proceeds, so I have that being sold next year. Reimbursing hotel motel. In speaking with Mark Reclining too, we may not reimburse this whole 6.9 million this year. We may spread that over 2 years, but if we do have to set up a reserve fund for the bond payments. They were exactly
For the streetscape on.
for the streetscape bond payment. They want you to have a reserve fund and so we may have to split that 6.9 into two. Seymour, we talked with him again. He's also talking about setting up another rate stabilization fund, is what he was calling it, to bond payment, a half a year for that, though not a whole year. So basically the 2%. And that venue tax can be paid for anything that is considered venue. Venue covered the civic center, the community center, and all of the walkways in between.
So some of the budgeted items for this facility, like sidewalks and repairs, are gonna be done to that facility fund, but then venue tax can come back and broader scope of connectivity.
Let's say we're doing the more modest repair on the sidewalks and stuff. Let's say you guys are like, not very good. Yeah, we can tap into that additional fund if you want to come back in here. So. Yeah.
And interest rates have fallen, but you will be earning interest in that on to that bond. No, but you have to expend you cannot, don't issue debt to just earn interest to make money. You have to, if you make more than your bonds have been issued, say we were making 5% interest and we issued the bonds at 3.5%, you have to take that 1.5% that you earned and send it back to arbitrage rate.
We're not gonna spend all $46 million.
No. And we, no. But you're supposed to spend it within 3 years. And
So you'll.
if you don't, you have to, yes, we have to do arbitrage calculations to prove to the Fed that the economy. So those calculations we haven't really had to do before because interest rates were low and we usually extend our bond funds pretty quickly, but with these bonds, we probably aren't gonna have to do this calculation. The airport fund is not happy. And it wasn't happy this year. But we do have dialed into the airport fund to do the jet fuel tank is about 225,000. And the utility extensions to run utilities to where we would build new hangars be available for lease. We have 100,000 in there for that. The ramp grant will reimburse us 100,000. We do have that. That's up in there. They have to approve the capital projects. I don't know. I think the utility extension. I don't know. We have to, I don't know if they will approve the fuel. For the ramp. I don't think they would reimburse for that because they will not do anything for our. You know,
Sure will bring in most tourists.
so
Some distance.
the,
They're at
airport fund can just wait and recover on its own, or it could be supplemented from general.
Negative, we're paying bills, paying expenses, we're coming out of the general fund at this month, time until.
Yes, we have supplemented the airport before from general fund with several transfers that we've done for the textile aviation grant that we completed back in 2012, when it started in 12 and 13, maybe even 14. We transferred from the general fund to that grant match. But this grant match, when they required more, we just let the airport run them. And yes, we run everything on pooled cash. I've seen the pooled cash reports and we got the cash. It's just, yeah. So. That's what we have in the airport.
Sell that.
Sell it.
The airport revenue where it says aviation fuel, that is just, the proposed budget of 180 is just based off of prior years of general fuel, not jet fuel. So there were no
Correct.
proposed
I didn't,
fuel
right.
sales from the fuel tank, right? I don't think any offset.
No, they're
Yeah, but by the
taking,
time- well, yeah, I mean, we might have. Our out. Get it built, but then.
if this, you're talking about the
Bar.
purchase, what we purchased, right?
No,
Might have 6 months sales.
Yeah, I mean, like in the budget.
Right, this is just our regular, I didn't,
Right.
I don't know when your jet fuel would get up and.
Yeah, maybe 2 years.
So there might be an income to offset.
No.
The capital outlay from the jet fuel.
Right.
Like you didn't put anything in there to do.
I did not, we did not, that's just
May
our
not be as
regular,
bad.
regular.
It'll be. Recurrent.
Then we had the prior years, aviation fuel, we can, but with this year, 180, currently at 105, I assume it's because in this budget, that it comes the year to dates, we have one.
Two, we have a bunch, I mean, July, no, we have three, we haven't put July yet. So July, August, we have 3 months.
And there are planes that require jet fuel that are landing in the airport, but they don't pick up here because they can't.
Right, I mean, we have 180 in fuel cells and 135 in purchase. You know. But yes, if we got the jet fuel up. That number. Purchase on the. I don't know how much more that is a gallon. We're running with about $1 revenue per gallon.
Yeah, they've got current, what we got. Like I say. If you.
You know, beach fund has a whole lot going on, more than it's had going on in the past. With the, I mentioned we added a assistant surf rescue manager, so that gives us 6 year round. The program has really grown. We have more guards than we've ever had. I think we have 40, their target. The beach lifeguard facility has already begun construction. Contractor estimated that about 30% of that will be done by September. 30% of the draw. That site work. So 2.3 million to finish that project. And we got 50,000 in there to furnish the building. Money for technology. We have 1 full-time parking person in the beach fund and half person, another part-timer. And then in Doug's beach budget, it's did not add any personnel, but it has quite a bit in there for capital. And we're getting a new dump truck, the cameras for the new building, a garbage truck, about 440,000 on that garbage truck. It's definitely not a block. And replacing a loader, being figuring it's in about. And then some other miscellaneous equipment that adds up to about.
Vehicles and trucks, where do they get, where are their homes?
Right now, they're just all over the place. Some of them are out at the collection station. There's a little bit of parking where they are now, but the goal is once we get moved into public works, the ultimate thing to do would be to build a covered parking garage on that side that's going to be closest to the fire department, because it has a whole bunch of parking there for the front end loaders, the motor graders, the dump trucks. So that's the end game, is to get them all there to where they're in the yard right there. They can be hosed down, at least have some wind protection on 3 sides, and hopefully cut down on the rust. But that's where they'll ultimately end up.
Highlights of the beach fund. And then we do the big transfer to the general fund for beach patrol, beach safety, and transfer to the sanitation fund for the garbage that's taken from the beach to the collection station and going all the way by Republic.
It's in there. Yeah, it's in there.
It's in
Because it's a significant amount, right? So that $1.7 million increase. It just in that category, right, which are predicted, so our current income, page towards 85. The income part's already. But then that increase in income is for.
Well, typically 85, that has a breakdown of. It's 1.7.
1.7. Yes, you're right, broke it down by themselves. So you do that.
And we're still
And we're still,
giving, Nueces County 16%, but corporates will not get any of the money they sell. We get to keep ours, they get to keep theirs, we're both giving the county 16%.
Yeah, question 2, so the 87% can use it.
Yes, sir. We're estimating, out of those sales, 201,000 going to. And then the county still pays us for, beach maintenance, and that contract
Is being redone.
is being redone and make it up.
so the majority of the increase we're going to get the permits is going towards.
Yes, I've heard some of this. Surf rescue has grown. Of course, you've got 2.3 million that's in there for the If you take that out, they're at 1.3, but that program has doubled last week. Years ago, it was 743,000, so much it cost us. And you take the 2.3 out from the building, gets you down to 1.1. Or it's doubled now. Years.
We're only increasing one position.
Correct, one full time.
What does the plan show for lifeguards? Go all the way down to our city?
Ultimately, yes, you could be that far. With the crowds these days, and especially in summer, you know, so that's your temporary workers on the summer. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, the goal is to provide as much protection as we can on the beach.
One more beach.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you look at the numbers down south that used to be no man's land 15 years ago, and those days are done. Colleen, you had to drive to what, marker 106 to find a parking spot 2 weekends ago?
Like we were meeting.
And they started at G.
You gotta get up early.
You were just joining.
But I will say, we operate the marker 18 right now, because that's the bollarded area, and we're used to operating the towers inside of bollards. So if we expand further south outside of bollards, we need to figure out what that looks like. Right now, it's vehicular patrols. But if we were taking towers to places that might be interested, like some of the subdivisions have talked about lifeguards in the past, it's a whole new ball of wax.
Yeah, because I mean, the ballers are where they are, which keep them protected so that they can, otherwise.
You've got vehicles mixed in.
Well, you would just go down and you would create these like 20 bollard and stuff on the beach, and you would just, like we do our trash cans and skid cans, we just put talking bollards. Engine bollard, and you just create pilots. And you can have the lifeguard tower with those. The reflectors on for people too. They do this.
Purpose. Towers amongst where you.
Yeah.
vehicle-
No, it's been 12 years. Dollars for what? It's been what? It's
Stand. It looks like a phosphorus and everything. It's like. Or like,
Oh, I really don't.
Right, but they're
beach ride.
Stand. garden.
And especially out of these years, I know.
You're after that. Yeah. Yeah. He took them fishing.
Get it?
Sorry, all right.
Knows what the ball.
Remember that.
In your phone, you just.
It did. About 20 years old. Lived with the county. Couple summers.
Yeah. Ball up.
You guys never said this would be sanitation or something, like we got a budget for.
That be moved to the building. That was my question. If we're getting $1.7 million from area increase permits, what is that? And
Mainly buildings.
But then, like he said, the increase in cost in lifeguard and permits is $943. So
And then you've got,
2.3 you said was the building, but
and
then
then
why
you've
is
got, Green by. Yeah, you've got 2.3 in capital in lifeguards, and you've got 1.1 million beach maintenance. No, line by line, you put it in now. They add up, they come in. So it's a multitude. A lot of your, yeah, your search rescue, you're only gonna have 80,000 in your,
Expense
in
for
your
personnel.
personnel.
That's, yeah.
In your, you want to 895,000 for your,
For what, that's what.
for your, capital, you've got 2.3 million for the building. 50,000 for furniture for the building and 2,000 for college.
Okay, so the reason it's only 943 is because it's offset by 2.3, all those things add up, so. What?
2,394,500 was the amount of capital in the CERT rescue. They comprise of the 2,233,4,500 for the building. 50,000 for furniture and 10,000 for technology, equals 2,394.
All is in the lifeguard permits expenditure line, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again. Page 84. Oh, yes, you're looking at everything together.
Yes.
Yes, the 3.7 is everything.
Is everything.
For the CERT rescue. For personnel, and supplies and services, you know.
So the current budget's 2.7, the proposed budget's 3.7.
Mhm.
But you're saying there's 2.3 of capital outlay, so we're,
Well, we have, this year's capital, there was 1.4.
Okay.
Actually, 1.5.
So it all got expended, or you're transferring. For transferring.
I think we'll probably do a draw about right out of the, out of that one
By
for the building.
So I guess that, I think, yeah, the points are okay, well, it's increased almost $1 million from last year to this year, but we have all these capital outlays, so what's the math? The math is, you're not spending all of your budget this year, so that's gonna get transferred over. So that effectively the 2.4 million in capital only comes out to an additional expense of right under $1 million. Because you're transferring otherwise.
Or are you gonna try to spend it?
Yeah, are you gonna spend it all?
No, I mean, we're.
Because otherwise, how you.
But I mean, we need 2.3 to finish the bill. That's the contract. So. I gotta budget the whole amount.
That's where it's all coming. That buzzes that because.
Well, when you budget, you have to have the whole amount that you're gonna have to pay off. In that year's budget.
That would pay out.
2.3.
Correct. You think we'll have, so if you see on page 86. Down under capital outlay. That. 2,334,500. The contract for the beach lifeguard facility was 3,335,000. We think we'll have 30% paid off in this year, which is the 1,500,000, right? So we'll have 2,334. And you gotta put the whole amount in. Yeah, even if you don't spend, yes, we may, out of that 1.4 that we have budgeted for this year, we're probably only gonna spend $1 million. But you gotta take that 400,000 and re-budget it, put it in the budget line. Have it there. Does that make sense?
It does. I guess it goes back to, if you expect all this additional money coming from permits to cover the expenses. And then say like, let's say not this year, next year we go back down to a 1.2 annual budget, right? Not a 3.7 and expenditures. But then you have additional income.
You're gonna be building up your.
You need bonus and feature for right?
Correct.
Yeah, this is a one-time hit.
That's
This is gonna
correct,
be
yes.
1 year of.
I think you kind of have to look at that in a lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You say
Yes.
with reserves, we're only gonna have 3.5 months instead of 6 months, which is light. Granted, that's awesome, but really, if we get back to a normalized year, it's a couple of years. The whole month, yeah, it's a good example.
Sure. But this year,
Right, and this is what we have taken, we've had a lot of reserves, we've had a lot of excess, we've taken those reserves. And done all these improvements in addition versus issuing. You know, a lot of cities will go and they issue debt to do that. We didn't do that, we have spent down our reserves. Consciously to do these things, now we will be building back up.
So animal shelter part two.
Well, we've spent some of that 1.2 this year on the architectural fees and everything. So we think we'll need 1.2 between for next year's budget, and then the next year.
so next time we're going.
Whatever it's gonna be, then you get the contract. But by then. Yes, but that, it's the same concept of what was done with the lifeguard building, we only had 1.4 in this year's budget. So now we're putting the rest of the 2.3 in this year's budget.
Okay.
Same concept. Any more comments on beach? Harbor still has money that's going to be coming back to it. We did it before we were back to life, but we can. Like the garbage, truck, the big things with the garbage truck. I think I can describe it through Harbor. We have 1.4 million in capital for the harbor. Cameras for the docks, at 50,000. A bulkhead cap on dock 9, 75,000. The repave and restripe of the ramp parking is going out to bid, we're completing that this month. And, we have 575,000 in there for that. Once we open that bid, we'll know if that's a good number or not. And dock 1 repair of 700,000. If you want to delay dock 1 repair for another year, you could possibly do that, wait if needed. There are still some funds that will be reimbursed from, the Hurricane Harvey, once we get all those payments in and get everything figured out. The total tax funds are eligible to be spent on marinas, so it needs some money. Kind of waiting for it to air out from all of the Harvey. And remember, we issued debt that payment's 576,000 a year for repairs because we wanted to get this done. We got the FEMA dollars.
I got to, on the harbor page, so I just look at it, so you had setting up 44K of gas this year that was issued up 20K for docks, and that set over 4 dock 1 there was deferred this year. So just looking at the math on the 2026, we've got projected income at 4.2 million. Expenses at 2.3, putting us negative. Negative. Not really, because we back out 700, is that correct? That'll carry forward up to our next, so beyond. So the estimated beginning fund balance is -9. You really won't beat that. Get negative 2 something. It close out everything in 2 months. So
No, that's pretty much where we were. Yeah, that's harbor and enterprise fund, harbor and gas, you have to back out the capital. That, no, I think we'll probably be. Here and see what the. Yeah, because we haven't done a transfer of working them from. Per fee.
How much longer would that one be able to go?
We could go another year. I mean, it's one of the,
But it's not, but.
yeah, it's the last one that didn't. So 2 and 3 got repaired after Harvey, and then I think 4, 5, and 6. This is the last one that didn't get any Harvey. 'Cause it was the newest, right? We built it in. I think we got a big voting infrastructure grant in 2009. We built it right around then. So it was the newest of all of them, but it just didn't get any RV. So we just have some shifting and what's that? One's the transient. Yeah, it's comprised of a lot of 35s, 45s, and then a couple big ones, but not the big ones. But there's some,
Do the repair and size the slips because you're. We don't have, the transient slips are too small for the investors that are.
possibly, yeah, you could reconfigure it.
I'm just saying, I think if, and I'm not saying one or the other, if it's down to the budget, we can afford it. I think we can afford it, and if we do that, I think that we need to look at in the repair. Changing the slip size to accommodate the larger vessels. Heard that again last weekend.
If you're having to reconfigure pilings. Pilings determine the width and like, let's say you have 2 35s, maybe that's 15, maybe that's 12 feet or so for each, or maybe it's 15 feet for each vessel, so maybe the gap is 30 feet. Well, you're not gonna fit 2 50-foot yachts in there. So you could basically give 30 feet to one yacht. So you could reconfigure it and you could use a lot of it. Unless you started pulling pilings. But if you're pulling pilings, you're basically, it's a new dock.
Yeah. So, but, I mean, sometimes they wanna just put 30 by 30, you know. But, occasions like that. They won't stick it in the person.
Well, if you stick a big, if you stick a 50-footer in a 35 or 45, you almost eliminate that next.
That's what I'm saying, if you're not fully full.
Yeah. I mean, policy wise, I'd have. But. It is a.
I'm just
so
saying,
that-
we're gonna go and.
Yeah.
It's big money.
Yeah.
$1,000, and I don't know what the expense would be to modify it, but I think we ought to look at that.
I think if
Before
you,
we spend the money, we ought to think
about this, you have to double. This would be my guess, to get it to where it was a dock that supported. If you're moving. Well, yeah, I mean, you just wanted before.
I'm just saying, it changed the capacity,
Yeah.
right? I mean, here's the thing, what I'm saying. Especially on the end.
Yeah, because they can't get this. Yeah, right now, it looks like it has. So it's got. It's got like. It's got the big one on the end, and then it's got. 2 and 2, these 2 are the big ones, and then are scaling down. But you don't get very far before you can't, it's too tight to get back in very far. We'd also have to look at the distance between the 2. But we'll look at it, we can figure out what space we have.
We spend that
Yeah.
much money. We should look at what. That's. Maybe it's, okay, well, we wait a year and spend $900,000 to make it. In a better.
Yeah. We'll do that.
you guys?
So the construction fund, the construction fund has some bond money sitting there. And already touched with Park, Bulkhead Park. If you remember, we took part of that bond to help pay the rec center. We took more money than that. That is all. So we still have money there. Completion of the rec center is budgeted here, and also the CDB teacher grant that we got for drainage this year, and there's no match in that, so I have a revenue for that and an expense. for that. We transferred the money this year for the fire EMS match from and the years. That's basically what is in your inspection. Drainage impact fees. This is the last year for the 11th Street lawn. So, once we draw the, I'm sorry, jumping impact fees on one. Drainage impact fees, we've just been building up. And our impact fees as our building permits all gone down, so your estimates of this are smaller than they have been. Impact fee zone one, this is the last year of the 11th Street bond payment. So we have a transfer to pay for the majority of the last payment. The last payment's like $527. And that'll pretty much draw this down to zero. Then impact fee zone one can start rebuilding for other eligible projects within that impact fee. Impact fee zone two is for the beach, new beach road that we built. So its bond payment is out of here, and also we got a transfer to for the construction to 200,000 for the construction, transferring it back over to the beach fund, because the beach fund paid for that beach access road. Dedication fees. They're based on building permits. We were going to take 1.1 this year for the rec center construction for part dedication fees. I don't think it's going to have that much in it by September 30th. So I estimate that next year, I think we're going to be about 42,000 short. What we take in, if we get 42,000 more, it's out for the rec center construction. And then part dedication fees will start rebuilding for other projects that are in the park master. So anything in the park master plan, go for part dedication.
All into the swimming pool.
All means he's swimming.
That whole.
Don't get her.
Yeah.
Street maintenance fund is. Don't have anything projected to transfer over there to the street maintenance fund, but we completed the stoplight this year. So it's basically just small street. Some improvement to crosswalks. We did 50,000 in crosswalks. Bunch of different signs they want to. Speak signs, action materials. I think they're wanting to try to make some of their own signs. I don't know if they can use speed. Speed bumps.
We do this. Oh, for both. Oh. Oh. So,
RDC. Is really growing with the opening of the rec center. We're anticipating opening it probably in March. Right. So we've got quite a bit of personnel that's being added to this, an assistant parks and rec director. I mentioned the front desk clerks, part-timers, childcare coordinator. But we should be up and running next year.
And so when those come out of RDC budget, so the same goes for income that's collected as well. So all the fees to media
Stay.
center, all the.
And we put in there, page 135, you can see what we estimated for membership, day passes. We did a $35 a month membership right now. Assuming you get. So we're estimating income around 290 next year. Cause it's not a full year. Of course, those fees are yet to be set. We just think your Parks and Rec board, was that their recommendation? But, well, RDC did, but the Parks and Rec board,
They were generic and talking like, $45 a month, and we didn't break down like child, senior, family, we just said that was what, when we put out a public survey, that was the range that people felt comfortable committing to. We need to look, well, council could look at cost recovery and see if there's a certain percentage that you'd like to set as a goal with operating costs and trying to recover, or what you're willing to subsidize, because it's definitely not a business plan. It's more fees than what it costs to operate.
But there will be income generated.
It's I think Darla was conservative in estimating it, so now I'm just competitive, and it's gonna be my number to beat.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard until, I mean, we're gonna have to set fees for whatever we set fees for, but I think until we get a full year of operations under our belt, it's gonna be really hard, we need to make fee adjustments now.
Right, yeah, I have a daily, monthly, yearly.
I think we were saying like $15 for a day pass. But then you have the issue of the pool right now is very cheap, $1.
You do senior and show up file pays $1.
But to get to the pool, now I'm going to the front desk of the rec center. So is it gonna be $15 to the pool? And how do you, if you're going to, talk about a wristband or different things, or if you're gonna go to get versus, then you gotta make this sure. Go to the weight room.
We can't have an 8.
That's say $1.
We will work with
We'll be here over a fancy. Yeah, figure that out.
Lots to work on.
Did y'all talk about that? In the RDC board?
No, they did, but Parks and Rec board, did you talk about that? Like the pool issue, just going to the pool.
No, we didn't break that apart, like having pool use, but if you look at the membership value, the adult membership for a year was like $180, which works out to $15 a month. So the frequent users, community members who want to use the pool on a regular basis, the value is really in their memberships and breaking it into resident, non-resident. And then if you have day users, if you have a lot of days, a lot of summer family vacationers that have discovered the pool, I think that they would not hesitate to pay $8 to get into the facility, do locker rooms, family restrooms, concession stands. So I've been thinking about use smoothies. I felt fun. But that's about And you're right, it's probably has a family. The kids, yeah. They're gonna come here and, yeah. but Work together, but.
All the things.
And we have in here 275,000 for exercise equipment. I think that's a purchase option. We are going to investigate possibly leasing equipment purchase. Might be easier because then if something breaks. Gas is another fund that needs money, mainly due to two capital projects. One was the building we built. The other is, and we've kind of known this since we installed the new gas system, that FEMA has denied our request for the new system service tie-in. So all of the systems that were added to the residences that were tied into the old system, then they have to get switched over to the new system. FEMA paid for everyone that was here pre-Harvey to do that. The post-Harvey connections, they have denied. And so Bill Soul has gotten us the good number on that.
Well. It said 500.
Yeah, we've been 3 years now.
There's just not, it's not a policy.
Can we make sure?
Michael is gonna be here every week.
And logically, why should we?
No, I understand.
I just mean,
New homes that tie in gas system after Harvey. And yes, we have to go. They're all candidate. They. Recapture. Which got in 5 feet. Do we know how much money we're still factoring? They still get. Hurricane. Are we pretty much down? No, when they do their report on the 25th, they always give you a breakdown. Yeah. Where we're at, what's pending.
and I actually had that conversation with him yesterday, and I think we're gonna try to have some good numbers. I think Iceland inferior, but which kind of ironic that our city council meeting is on the 9th.
That's right.
Give them a 9. Been a busy 9 years. And we're coming down to getting all this close to. But that's, I do have a transfer, the sanitation fund is very healthy right now. So I do have a $500,000 transfer coming from sanitation over to gas to pump it out. For both enterprise funds. But they will have a new building now also, I got my charting. And then the last but not least is the sanitation fund. It's doing very well, so. I'm suggesting about 500,000 for it, send to gas. It is on the same bill. When I first started here, they were in the same fund. See. Codex, have me do that. First time.
Or
It
we
is
still trying to, are you tracking?
No,
I mean, were they together originally because we had our garbage trucks? Or no?
Yeah.
In- Like, not that those are the same department, but I mean, because we were both.
Maybe that's
in
why.
house.
I don't know, maybe for Darling. No,
BDB.
So that is basically all of the funds. Then you have a listing of your capital line. There. Personal cost of parking. Property tax rate calculation. Sheets for us. So. Changes anybody's fee or would like. Or you will have, with the fifth meeting, we'll have. Budget discussion that where you know, with your vote on what you would like your tax rate to be set. At, so we can advertise, wait for the next, so we can get it. Advertised before your September 10th meeting will be your final meeting on the budget. Make any changes now, you can make them in 25th, you can make them on the 10th. Just before you done.
What didn't get? Out of the big overall goals, which I want everything,
Building purchase.
I saw that. The page of. The investment. Which was how much?
Wanted my computer, so that would take me. a lot.
So the building purchase, and we didn't even know what that building was, it was.
No, we
Put that, to plug the building purchase in. But if we do that, that would be the. If we decide to move forward with that during the special session, that would be an amendment if it's not proposed. Or just. Right? I mean, just like any other thing we've done in the past, we've decided, oh, we're gonna buy this piece of property, oh, we'd like to buy this piece of property.
You know, right, I can find it. Shop. I can read this up here. Fine. That would be.
We didn't have a roundabout. That's one.
There were several things that we talked about that were outside of the budget, but I mean, so, okay, yeah.
Right. Councils and.
The public information. Public information.
It's or-
Yeah.
It's not.
When it comes to negotiating piece of property. Shelter. Affordable housing is not, well, there's permitting in there. It is moving forward, the IGA parcel. As far as like the permitting and stuff, but then not a whole lot of follow-up after. And signs, that's all in there. So that's your goals list. That was what was on the list. Yes. Yeah,
Discussion.
yes.
Request from individual departments to begin on. And we really want to, but you know, probably said, oh, you know, who may. So what were the, not issue, what were some of the other things that weren't included? That made us stay within this no new record. For us to be able to make a decision, because I haven't looked over every single thing, and had a different. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I brought them there, but I didn't want to.
I remember talking about like, should have big list, or get half your stuff, just get all your stuff, I swear about this.
Well, we have the ground maintenance, facility to push that to maybe next year. We are including some phase 2 rec center pool, numbers like fencing and, just a kind of resurfacing of the deck and the demo of the building and a new surround for the existing equipment room, because that's something that has to get done. There was some personnel, there was a recreation manager that made the cut. I think those were the big ones.
And I think those are the big ones overall. I think it was mainly Parks and Rec because your fire, EMS, police have been so heavy in the last few years. We do have in there the third dispatch. Dispatch.
Yeah.
Right. It's £117. Right, those are 2 dispatch. That would give them 3 dispatch stations, which is they have the one city over the radio consoles and there's so yes, that kind of a very expensive.
We're still working on things for, for
But we didn't put on that number of that either. This is what route we take.
Correct. We Enterprise does rent buses, but it has to run through their risk management team because we're trained 40 minors and they are about that.
So it's in the plans, so additional police officers.
That was interesting.
And I can give you, because
That's all. That's all.
For one.
That's on Thursday.
yesterday I attended because I'm on the school safety committee, as Damon was in the poll, was right, I mean, there's, how many people on that? It might be 45 or something. I thought, anyway. But it's, comprised of people all throughout the school, right, and board members, and I think people are. What's that? Oh, well, of course, Petey, yes. School resource on students, but basically, like, Christie indicated, that this, in states telling them that they have to have a school resource officer or armed security guard for campus, which I think they even feel is really unnecessary, but it's a mandate, unsafe mandate. And so the discussion was back and forth in the safety committee meeting yesterday was how do they get there? And their options are something like what we have now, right? Or what a lot of districts do is this, they do 2 kind of homegrown and then local for each other, but it's one's a guardian plan and one's what they call a Marshall plan. So the guardian plan is literally them choosing people on each campus to be guardians, and they go through their own school plan and school funded training to choose these teachers, let's just say, and staff members to carry weapons on campus, and they be prepared to act as certified themselves. And in a bit of emergency. So that's a guardian plan. A lot of schools don't do it. Our school didn't want to do it because the training is very minimal.
Very good.
Very minimal.
15 hours.
And basically, I have to tell it, take 15 hours of combat training to be prepared to take down the school. The next option was the Marshals program, which gives the school the option to get more intensive training, but it's the same thing. You're basically asking one of your teachers or staff members per campus to go through 80 hours of training to have a gun on them at all times and be prepared to act as though they are the, you know, first responder, if you will, in the event of emergency.
Still gotta pay for that training, same time. Probably do too for attention to the fact that if one coach is going or somebody's going, you still have somebody to go by the letter of the ball or the big arms.
So the discussion basically rolled around to, okay, who's comfortable with that? I mean, all money aside, right? All money aside. I can't even imagine asking a teacher or staff member to say, okay, now you get to act as the first responder in case of, God forbid, a real emergency in school, right? So, and I mean, I'm sure Officer Boyer being Officer Boyer and being the main school resource officer, you know, he's probably thinking, well, gosh, I would rather have two more of me, you know, as partners in this situation, if that's the case. And so what basically they said they would do is, okay, well, they knew we're in budget, they're in budget, they would come respectfully and ask, you know, and it's a big ask for us too, right? It's a big budget item, for sure. But they have to show a good faith effort that they're working towards fulfilling this unfunded mandate, right? And so I don't know how we do it. But I know that there's certainly not money use of money in our budget to say, okay, well, we'll take two more of our FTE and PD and make them school resource officers, and then we still have to backfill room, right, somehow. Yeah, which is a big deal. But, and that's where that's coming from, and it literally, first we heard was yesterday. Now, Officer Boyer said something to that effect, I think, maybe in passing a meeting or two, but.
Well, it's coming, but it's an effect now.
Yeah. We don't.
So how is a high school that has multiple outbuildings in a larger district that's probably larger than our campuses, all three, with that?
One campus, but they can have you can have a physical building with 10,000 students. Well, we're considering free campus. Even though we're in one fit, everything else is along previously, we've always gotten away from it, because previously we've always turned in, you know, good faith that this is what we're doing. You know, it's all under one fence, even though it's three campuses, it's all technically one the size of one campus. But we're technically three different school campuses. Who's going here?
No, so I think it's in effect, so what I think that it's in effect, but it's not mandated that they fulfill it like by the time school first. They have to show that they're moving in that direction. They have a plan for good faith effort, so they understand the ultimate would be to have three officer lawyers, right? Which, I mean, is an expense that they can afford, we probably can't afford or whatever. But their next plan, which is very limited, is to go and create this marshals program. Right?
So that's what all these other less fortunate school districts are gonna be doing.
Are already doing, because the current high school principal who just came from Bandera
Yeah,
said that when he and Bandera, they were already trying to implement the plan, and they were on the Guardian plan, which is where the school comes up with the training,
2-day training.
2-day training, and he's like, oh, please tell me y'all aren't gonna make that, and make us do that, because that is not. So I think there's probably a hybrid all over, you know, that would our state, but it does seem silly, like you said, that you can have a 6A high school that's got 4,000 students, it's only required to have one, and yet our little campus of 585 students, that it's all under one communal sense, has to have 3 separate. No, they're.
Zero. And at the end of the day,
If you really want to go.
say, where are they thinking? Where are they supposed to? They give us 10,000 per. But if they're taking more money from the school district, where were they thinking they're gonna find this? How do you get?
forever, and it's kind of work, but in the meantime, that's the back, so I understand that we probably have another $100,000 block in the budget, say, sure, no problem, here, we'll pop this one over there. Yeah, well, no, two people, right, but I would like to see us, in future, I would like to see us sit down and have conversations with the meeting to try to see if there's some kind of hybrid that we could do that would take current officers or maybe seasonal help or something so that the school is, I can't.
We need to think.
No, I think. Yeah, and I do think that's something we can discuss. Yes, 100%. But it needs, we need to find.
And retired police officers. Even if they, no, but if you found 5 or 6. And they all think. We may have to come through the city.
That's the whole budget issue, right? So for them to hire, that's why we put the bill for the SRO now. But I mean, to your point, like, because that's right on me. I was like, well, why can't you just hire, recently retired, still commissioned law enforcement officer who would be willing to do that job, right? Maybe they're retired. They have to be.
An education foundation. Because then you get, I mean, this is what. I know, yeah, it's pretty, I think it's the same.
Learn together before we get to meet. They're being saying if we can even. Well, I think that would not that's what. But I think that should change their funding to raise all of the funds. So anyway, that's the back. I think that it's. It made a decision today, but it's. Discuss, chief, put that on your agenda.
And it would, and to add to them, it would actually have to be 3, because if you have somebody that's out sick or on vacation or whatever, you'd have to be able to backfill that. So
Yeah.
it's,
So that's one. Okay, so I guess. Yeah, I was just trying to figure what was being left off, if we stay at the number we stay at, and what's not getting done. To know if we as a council want to make any decisions to change anything, to cut anything, to move anything, what was not included. Or something new. Because that's our big task between now and the 25th, right? If we want to make a change between now and the 25th, that's what we need to do.
Well, they could make the change out.
Yeah, make it at the 25th. They can also make it at the 10th.
All the way to the 10th.
Yeah.
Right.
The 10th, you could say, hey,
But the no new tax rate needs budget as.
the no new tax rate is in the numbers that are in. Yes. You are collecting more taxes than you did last year. It's pretty. Sorry.
Plenty of. So there's always an amount that.
Quick tax, not high. Pretty good collection, right? Actually, no downside. I have always sat here as finance director and tried to tell you, you need to go to the voter approval rate, and I have brought budgets with voter approval rate before, and y'all make me say, take it back down to the no new revenue rate.
still very. So. Just a very small amount, a lot of people are protesting in taxes, they're going to be going down this year. We're gonna break it.
We pulled yeah, swing up models. We pulled the tax rate and listen. When I first saw this council, I.
Because we'll.
Well, it's because values have increased. We've had so much to and we've been able to maintain a much preferred budget and decrease. I mean, I think we've been very blessed in a lot of ways with the growth we've had that have allowed us to have a much lower rate. I mean, Darla, you looked it up and what
They did, and I meant to bring that.
I think in 2000, I think you told me like 2005, like 45 cents.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost half what it was.
Staple school includes.
Yeah, we're at $1.32 total. You know, just,
So
no, I don't think there's anywhere in the state.
$1.33.
Right, I mean, your revenue rate is 21. And your voter approval rate is 22. It's only anything. It's 1 point.
Chad, you're saying just go to, we're in thousands of decimals, just pop it in. 0.22257
To the voter approval rate.
and it's on.
Well, you go to 577.
Fine.
You can't go to 578. If you go to 578, it goes to voters. If you stay at 577, 165,000. 664,950.
22257. Oh, there.
I will tell y'all that we all watched the building permit this year. And they're about the same as they were last year, right? A little bit less. So what that, this year, the overall tax value is down. Okay, that's probably the first time in a long time that the value, our tax base value has been down. So what that means, with another year similar in construction being down, as we won't see some increase, but I think next year it's gonna be the same. I think it's gonna be very flat, possibly even down. So by going to the voter approval rate and putting more money in our budget, thus more money in reserves possibly, or whatever we decide to spend, might be the most fiscally responsible thing to do in anticipation of further decline in value.
I mean, it should go down some of those houses. 3 times what.
Agree, yes.
So it's the market.
But I think it's a combination. It's a combination of having so much growth and now kind of leveling out, right? And then, yes, I think there's a lot of value that's.
And we have gone, it used to be called the effective rate. We have gone to effective rates, rollback many times. Only lately have y'all been staying at the new revenue rate, I think, because I think the last year you stayed at it, I think the year before, but yes. I just didn't bring it at the no new revenue rate, I mean, at the, voter approval.
Well, that's where it's true. It's one of the first.
Or other things within the budget, right? We're gonna still have things.
Right, and I mean, our reserves have dropped because we have done a lot.
And I think what we talked about earlier, once you have those years where you have normalized capital expenditures, then your fund balances are gonna bounce back, right? Because you're gonna have that same cash inflow. Right?
We don't know what all these new buildings actually cost. Certainly more utilities than previous years.
And our insurance is fine.
And insurance. So going to that point, to be prepared to have money to pay for lights, that.
I would always, if I could go to voter. And I think that the people that have been on the council for a while have always heard me say that. Because you squeeze yourself down for future years, because your next year's tax rate is. So when you don't go to the voter approval rate, you are tying your hands to just operating at high. Just continue operating at the same level. And our demand for services is not at the same level that it was. We did not bring to you an HR director yet, but we have over 200 employees.
So you cut that out.
230. We didn't even mention, we didn't mention the council goals workshop. Should.
That'll be.
Yes.
Yes, I think we've talked about it one-on-one, but we. Yes,
No, I did.
Yeah.
we have.
You're in their office.
Yes, you.
Correct.
You want to be the HR director?
Yeah, and that needs to be. If we don't. It's a need.
Yeah, all right.
It's just, I don't wanna, I don't tell them it's in the dark. I don't like getting shot. But I don't.
And don't tell us.
But with the voter approval rate, you could do not. And still build up support reserves, and you could have charters. That we didn't discuss.
Well, like you said, it's gonna be 3 SR.
Yeah, but we could,
Yeah, good faith is what, putting an ad in the paper?
well, I mean,
Yeah.
we could, if we added a resource officer to this year's deal, I mean, we still got to recruit and find the right one and all of that stuff. So, I mean, realistically, we wouldn't be able to do 3 in 1 year anyway. We would have to phase them in over a couple of year period of time to find the right fit, because you can't just stick anybody in this.
Yeah, budget.
They have to fit. Yeah.
And that's just. Back.
Right, it could be hopefully.
And Boyer is the unicorn.
Yes.
Okay, that is a hard standard to meet. So, but we can work something. We can figure.
Going up to 900.
Increase because our tax estimated.
We've had.
Yeah, my husband, next year is 966,000 more than my estimate. They're gonna bring. my estimate.
That's where we found out.
They only did their.
Getting.
Yes, if you can keep that in here. Yes.
You'll have to let them.
Right now, they're estimated to get 5.9.
Say, oh.
They would get about 500,000 less. Right now, it's 5,910,000. They would get 5,456,000. And you would take that difference and put it. Yes, I estimated this year their budget was 4.9 million. And that would be an estimate next year of 5.4. If you only give them a 3, we used to only give them a 3. We went up to 0.25 for
Couple years, then we took it away. Get it back.
They got it for a long time, and then we took it back to party. And then we get.
Yeah, then we get it back. I think only for a year.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
But Aaron was like. When I got here though. She cannot use that 400,000 for officer. It helped you to marina. It can help your marina, it can help you our parks. It can help. Yeah. Yes, it is part of, yes. The emergency service. Okay.
Bring those things up. Yeah, we were 2 weeks. March 1st.
Yeah, 21%. You know, compared to 22. The city is such a small portion of your tax bill already. I mean, we are 3% less than the county. I personally. Work it bill. It's 27 cents.
Okay, so. Is we decide where we're gonna land. Then to build the budget and finalize it.
On an average home. On a 590,000 homesteaded home, that's where I have it, $1,300. Yeah, it comes to 59. 59. 50.
$70 something.
Yes, $70 a year. On a $600,000.
Which probably think 600.
Okay, well. I don't think we should approve the budget tonight as presented, because I think we have some things to still work, but. Should we approve whether or not we're gonna stay at the voter approval or go to the voter approval rate? Stay at the current rate.
You will have that vote on the 25th, of which you want to advertise, but I mean, you can definitely give us straw polls, so I know I can dial those numbers physically into the budget and have it in your packet on the 25th, so you can look at it differently. I can do that with also the 3% for the chamber versus 3.25. Any changes that you tell me to make, I can make and give it to you in black and white.
Like what? Both of these.
Both of you.
You said the approval rate. And then column with or without the 3, 4, 3%, you know, how that will change. And then. I don't know what changes to the budget. I mean, we talked about a lot of things, but. I mean, I don't know that, I mean, we're ready to say. School research, I mean, I don't know, we're dialed in to say.
You can't vote to pass the budget because you haven't had the public hearing on September 10th before you can do that.
But I think just to know the number of amount that we're dealing. Judge adjustments to.
Rather
Showed us this,
664.
you know that, but here's a.
And then, you know, I can give you a list of the different items, how much their cost would be.
Yes, Dale, what do you think?
Yes.
They already said, yes.
This side was.
This side was, yeah.
Far.
And that, and usually and that 0.25%.
Nothing back to that.
Unless you have a hell of a user fee for that new coastal pump. $30 entry.
They're definitely. Okay, all right, well. Darla knows what to do.
And if anybody ever has any questions. or if I can-
They might, yeah, they might not.
If you have my number, go on me, I'll meet you.
But it's looking better, and I love that the fence is going across the street. Cleaned it up, got a little bit of landscaping. Every day it looks better and better. Okay, so we'll move on to item 6, city council comments and items for future consideration. Anybody have anything else to put on the agenda for? The 25th? Company. They do place to get.
We are working on that
Yeah.
this week.
Oh, yeah, and we will be in the meeting room. Today's the last meeting.
Issue.
Yeah, there's got some mics, but Brandon's gonna get it all.
Of course I am. Bringing my karaoke machine. Turtle box, yeah. Yes, we'll get it figured out.
Okay, anything else? Adjourned.
Thanks.